like if people want to point to a flaw in losing Allen and getting Kinlaw, from a business of football standpoint, you got younger and cheaper.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. John, it turned 30 in January. Now, listen, John's not old. John's going to help in Minnesota. He's a good player. He deserves the money he got. I like John. This is in no way trying to slight John, okay? Kinlaw's a little bit bigger, taller certainly, a little bit younger. He'll turn 28 this fall. John just turned 30. And a little bit cheaper. Now, if you want to ask, I think there's a fair question in, damn, they doubled Kinlaw's salary. Kinlaw's making a lot more now than probably his production would guarantee. But if you look at what he's making in relation to the entire NFL,
he's way down.
I mean, he's not top 20.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can count that far down.
I just think what happens is,
now Grady Jarrett's making a hair less than him. Grady Jarrett's also significantly older. Cam Hayward is making a hair less than him, but he's also older. Like,
Grady Jarrett signed that contract when the salary cap was much lower.
No, Jarrett was released. Jarrett just signed a new deal, but he's also 32.
How much he's making right now?
14.5.
So, but I'm saying his deal, most of these deals that were signed at a certain point. And that's why when they start coming through.
Jarrett signed
I'm not worried about Jarrett.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when you start looking at a lot of the deals, the salary cap is now 280 some million.
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5 years ago. And a lot of times people see when somebody is making and they're like, oh, I can't believe they're making it because that's what the salary, that's what it produces at this moment.
Where I land on this is you can argue they overpaid for Kinlaw based on production. And I'm not going to fight you on that. But where Kinlaw ranks and where he will rank by the end of the week, especially you're going to see some restructures, there's going to be a lot of things that happen, is probably the third tier down. Because the top tier of interior defensive linemen are going to – Chris Jones got 32 last year. I don't think anybody's getting that. I think the top tier we've seen in free agency is probably Milton Williams getting 26.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything north of 25 for interior D linemen is going to be top tier. Yeah. And maybe that obviously will continue to grow, but like there's not some super D tackle free agent sitting out there that's about to reset the market.
Mm-hmm.
Anything north of 25, maybe that the new baseline becomes Williams at 26, or maybe it becomes 28, maybe it becomes 30, right? But for just talking's sake, north of 25 is tier 1. That is the creme de la creme.
Mm-hmm.
20 to 25 is going to become tier 2. John just cracked that. John got 20 a year from the Vikings. Really, 15 to 20 is going to be your tier 3 D lineman, and 15 is the bottom of it. So what they're telling you from a salary standpoint is they probably got a tier 3 player that they think can perform at a tier 2 level.
People
like the money, you got to reframe how you think about the money with the cap exploding is what I'm trying to explain.
The people are always going to look at it because they look at what they make and what the people making, and it's always too much. But the ultimate thing is they're trying to compare John directly to Kinlaw, and that's not what this deal is. This deal was get somebody at that position where we can get other people at other positions. And they did not feel that John was still producing at the level he was being paid. That's it. It's not a player for player trade out. You know what I mean? It's I'm gonna bring this dude in. He's younger. He's gonna make less money, and we're gonna also be able to improve other positions.
I think it's also. I think Johnny Newton is a huge factor in the Javon Kinlaw decision. I think they see a bigger role for Newton, and I think with Allen there, it's harder for Newton to have a larger role. I think the other part of this, I mean, if we're just going to be totally honest, John wasn't going to, at least John didn't want to play this year with no guarantees on his deal, which his old deal that he had with Washington had no guarantees on it. Now the guarantees are minimal this year. It's $125, but he got a big old bonus to sign in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He now has $31 million guaranteed, 24 of it guaranteed yesterday when he signed his deal. There's a math equation to this too. And when the Chiefs did this, when they trade Tooney last week, right?
Yeah,
I think it was.
I think a week before that.
The Chiefs trade away Joe Tooney. Now, granted, he's a couple years older, but he's also been a way better player than any of the people we're talking about. The Chiefs traded him away for a 4th. And people are like, damn, what is Kansas City doing? This dude's won 4 Super Bowls. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's been really good. Trading him away for a 4th. Some of this is simple math, dude. You are looking at Joe Thuney, who's going to be 33 this fall, and you know you're going to have to pay him, and you don't want to. And you're trying to recalibrate on the fly. I think good teams try to stay ahead of the cap, and I think that's what Washington was trying to do in this decision-making process. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work, but I think you're overly simplifying and you're jumping to a conclusion when you're like, Allen's better than Kinlaw, what the hell? So I'm just trying to provide the context of what I think is important.
That statement may be true, but then they may be asking the question, is Allen worth the money we were going to pay, what he was expecting to get paid? Maybe that's no in their face, in their mindset. And I think ultimately it comes down to what their mindset is. The people that's paying, they get that decision. They're going to say, does the guy's play match what he's expecting to get paid or getting paid? And off of that, they're going to make their decisions. And when they decide to move on, that's normally it. Has nothing to do with Kinlaw. It's about you're not producing at the amount of money you're making. He wasn't going to sit and take a cut.
On his cap number this year, Kinlaw is slated for about 7.5 against the cap. Johnny Newton slated for about 2.5. Call it 10 between the two of them. Now, we understand Peters doesn't care necessarily about the cap numbers. He cares about the cash going out. Fine. It's still going to be significantly less cash going out than Allen's going to take in year one for both of those players. And I think there is a belief that both of those players will equate to something greater than what Allen was going to give you.
Yeah.
The lost part in this is, now, I don't know that John made any public comments, and I'm not trying to assert that he did, about wanting a new deal, not going to play without guarantees, but I have a feeling that would have come up by the time we got to July or August. So some of this is just trying, like they said, they want to do right by John. He wanted guarantees. The marketplace with Barrett, go get it.
Yeah.
Then there's a conversation I was thinking more and more. That's kind of been the biggest free agent deal, right? You lose Jeremy Chin, you bring in Will Harris. To me, that's another money thing. Chin was really good last year.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible he replicates that level of play. But it's not like he was a perfect player, somebody that mandated you bring him back. And over the course of his career, for 4 years in Carolina before he signed here, he was excellent as a rookie. I think he came in second in Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
It was a steady downward progression from there. Carolina was also a train wreck. So I don't put much of that on Jeremy.
Totally.
But he's getting paid off the best production of his career. That's what got him paid by the Raiders. Will Harris, we're going to talk to Matt Paris a little later, old friend of the program, and we'll get the word on Harris. But what I can say about Harris, just in what I've watched and what I've talked to people about, what DQ talks about, what Joe Witt talks about, nose for the ball and arrive violently. And that's how that dude plays. And again, it's a math equation. He is older, but significantly cheaper. And I think that's how you arrive at that determination. But there's a bigger picture thing that I think deserves to be discussed kind of at length. And they've made 3 big trades in the last year. No, not even the last year. The last, 8 calendar months.
That's 2 months.
Since, we'll call it November 1. Today is what, mid-March?
Yeah.
1, 2, in 5 months.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore, Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil. These are 3 veteran players. 3 veteran players with all pros on their belt. 3 veteran players that have played in big moments with name value. Their jerseys have been sold at team stores. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are established players. It's my understanding, now this could change, right? But after speaking with sources on this, and hell, we've already seen it with Lattimore at this point. They are not, yes, they traded for all of them. I think the only compensation you could argue was possibly too high is Lattimore, and that would be based on last year's production that Wasn't great for his standards, but I think he was still hurt. I think Debo you got for a song. Tunsil, I think the compensation is in your favor should he deliver. Now, I think it's really, really important to point out you traded for veteran, established players, good players, all going into years on their contract or contracts, period, that are under market value for their position.
Yeah.
And the message, these signals from Ashburn are play on this and then we'll figure it out. Show me and then we will figure this out. That's not to say there's no, like, Tunsil's got $10 million guaranteed coming his way. Debo has a big roster bonus coming his way. Lattimore doesn't. But still, if you're Debo Samuel, Brian, and you look at wide receivers, I believe Darius Slayton just got $12 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Debo's is slated to get a $14.5 million roster bonus, I believe. So I don't want to poo-poo that money because it's a lot of money. But Darius Slayton just got $12 million a year. Debo, if he's a straight-up free agent, the number is higher. Yeah. Tutu Atwell got 10. De'Ami Brown got 10.
Yeah.
Debo, even coming off a season where he only went for 800 from scrimmage, he's 2 years removed from 1,200 and 9 touchdowns. Debo, there's big money available for a guy like that. And then you flip it over to Tunsil. And we're going to have some Tunsil conversations. He seems like an interesting character that I can't wait to get to know. But if you want to talk the tackle position, the money at tackle, Tunsil's technically making $25 million, but only $10 million guaranteed this year. Darisaw with the Vikings, Andrew Thomas, like the money he's going to be looking for when that comes up, it's going to be big. Talking about the salary cap going up. I think there is real value in the Commanders' front office saying, guys, we love you. We traded for you. You're here. We absolutely will take care of you. Let's see it on the field.
Yeah.
I think you get highly motivated players in those instances.
If they, I think the guys just look at what the other guys are getting. That motivates them right there. And they know they got to go out and produce. If I produce, they look at the people signing deals, go, that's my next stop. So it's a good motivational tool. But you got better players too also coming into your roster. Helps your team out.
I think Debo and Tunsil, zero debate. Lattimore, you hope, is fully healthy, and then you get a real assessment of where he's at. Because if he's fully healthy and the play looks like it did last year, you got a problem. If he's fully healthy and he's back to just being a dog shutdown corner, you got away with one, man. And it's a big, big change. Now we'll have to see what happens. Maybe Tunsil and his representation are already talking about a new deal. We'll find that part out.